Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another live session at the Reactor. My name is Rav, and I'm the program manager here at Reactor London. Before we get into the session, please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We're all here to learn, so please be respectful, please be kind, ask a lot of good questions. The chat will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. So we have a very exciting session today with Amy and Alpa. It is part of the series called Build, it's actually a post-event series which we did as a part of the Build Developer Learning Day. I will put in the link to the playlist, and you can catch up on the other two episodes as well. So with that, I'm now going to hand over to Amy and Alpa, who will drive this session. Hi, Amy. Hi, Alpa.
Hi, Rav. Thank you for having us. And
Hi all.
Hey, everyone in the comments. Please let's make this session as lively as possible. And so, yeah, if you have questions, we can follow along in the chat. I have it in front of me just here, as well as trying to do some demos on the screen. So it's going to be a nice little event. But welcome. This is the build recap session. But between me and you, we've done a few little updates where it makes sense, because obviously everything's moving so fast that the end of May seems like light years ago now, that all of these different things were happening. But basically in this session, what we're going to be talking about, let me advance the slides just here, is revolutionizing Azure AI deployments. And so my name's Amy Boyd. I lead our AI advocacy team here at Microsoft. And as part of developer relations, one of our key things is to obviously be able to get started with new technology, generative AI and AI in general. That's been super important. Hey, Alpa, glad to see you're back.
Hi.
Get those technical issues
Yes.
away early doors. Alpa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Thank you, Amy. Hi all. I am Alpa Budbeti and I'm working as a lead data engineer. I am Microsoft MVP and I'm mainly working on Azure data and AI services. So yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Alpa. Alpa's got some brilliant Fabric and AI demos coming up. But first, let's dig into something that was shared during Microsoft Build that I think is a really great way to think. So during Satya Nadella's keynote, they introduced this idea of a copilot stack. You can see it just next to me, just here. And the copilot stack allows us to think about all the different layers that you might need, depending on what you're trying to build inside Azure or on other Microsoft products as well. And it goes from the basic Azure AI infrastructure at the bottom into foundational models, what data you use to build on top of these, how you orchestrate and actually build out these different tool chains, and then how they connect to either your custom copilots or, for example, to the Microsoft Copilot, and allow you to do lots of extensibility on each one of those different things. And everything is encapsulated in our responsible AI safety and security strategy. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the exciting things in that space. We're not going to cover everything in the stack, and we only have a short amount of time with you, and we are going to cover a lot. So think of this session as a great signposting session for you to understand the basics, see the technology, and then it's basically, if you want it, there's going to be lots of QR codes where you can go and learn in a little bit more depth what it is that you're looking for and start your building journey as well. So think of it, it's a signposting session to give you an idea of the whole set of different things we've got going on in the space. So with that, we're actually going to start at the layer of foundational models. And when we talk about foundation models, you might think of things like GPT models, you might think of Meta's Llama models or Mistral's models, etc. And all of these different models are actually available in our Azure AI Studio. Azure AI Studio went generally available at Microsoft Build at the end of May this year. And one of the interesting things about the Azure AI Studio is it allows you to build your own custom generative AI solutions. So think of it as less using Microsoft's generative AI technologies. So if you think Microsoft M365 Copilot, you might have seen some of the copilots that sit in things like Word or Excel or PowerPoint or Teams, for example. And then also on the other side of things, for helping you to code, I use GitHub Copilot a whole lot. And we're going to see that again in a little bit. But Azure AI Studio is very much when you want to take that next step and say, actually, I need something a little bit more custom. And there's lots of enterprises and businesses and startups that are using these types of platforms in order to be able to build their own solutions, ground large language models, for example, on their own data, and you can do all of that end-to-end in the Azure AI Studio. And one of the nice things is, very simple way to get to it, ai.azure.com. We have a whole selection of these different models, and as we're getting further and further into the generative AI space, one of the things I've noticed quite a lot of is actually more and more of these models are taking their place in the ecosystem because they tend to specialize in specific things. They might be better at one thing than they are at others, or they might be more general reasoning chat-based things. And so it's all going to matter which model you select for what type of generative AI solution, or even what part of one generative AI solution you might be looking at. And one of the fascinating things up until May is all of these different models were released in such fast cadence and available on our platform. But that hasn't stopped. You might have heard of GPT-4o, then GPT-4o Mini, immediately available on Azure, which was incredible. Mistral's Nemo was a big one. Being able to work with Cohere, for example. So if you want to go and take a look, and we're going to take a look in a minute anyway in a demo, you can actually go and find all of these different models, learn a bit more about them, look at them, something we call a model card, aka.ms model catalog. And all of that means that you can access these different things using Azure AI Studio. So as I said, let's get straight into it, right? Let me show you what this actually looks like, and it will bring it to life. So let me swap screens just here to my demo screen. And what you should now be able to see is Azure AI Studio. So I'm sitting in Azure AI Studio as a portal. I'm on the homepage, and what you can see, you've got some great tasks you can go and view. You can see some of those models that I've just mentioned. Some of our trusty AI services that are available, such as speech, language and translator, content safety, etc. And also video walkthroughs. So a really nice introduction page. I've then created a project in here. So when you build a generative AI solution, I recommend creating a project where you work on it, for example, as a project team, so you can manage who's part of this environment. You can also obviously have it associated with a specific subscription, as well as being able to share different assets across different projects, which is fantastic. So I'm in my demo project just here. And what I wanted to do is basically work down this left-hand side to very quickly just show you some great stuff. So as I mentioned, let's click into the model catalog, because what I need to do first is just test out a few large language models that I want to build into my solution. So first thing that comes up, we've got GPT-4o here at the top. Phi3 is now available with fine-tuning. Cohere re-rank is new, as well as Nemo, as we just said. So you'll always see a nice sort of view the models, read the blog, etc. Here's a very popular one, GPT-4o. If you don't know what you're looking for, though, there is 1,734 models at this point in time. So everything from OpenAI's offerings to Phi3, Llama, Mistral, NVIDIA, we've got Cohere, we've got a whole load of Hugging Face stuff in here as well, which is amazing. And again, you can filter them by sort of collections down the side. You can filter them by tasks or which ones you can do fine tuning on. So if I chose GPT-4o, for example, here, what it does is it opens up something we call a model card. And a model card tells you a little bit more about the model. Maybe there'll be a few more resources from the provider. There might even be some sort of basic benchmarking going on at the bottom. And you simply just click deploy. I actually already have this resource available, so it might come up saying that. And when I deploy it, I can choose lots of different settings depending on the amount of capacity that I have. Click deploy, and it will very quickly land in this deployments tab just down on the left, where I can click it and I can see things like target URIs, keys, etc. But the easiest way to be able to check that you can actually use these is to actually open it in the playground. So you can, if there's ever an open in the playground button, use it. But if not, we actually have a whole set of different playgrounds here. So GPT-4o is fantastic for chat. So if we go to the chat playground, we can see I can select my model deployment just here. We're all very used to a playground environment, I think, at this point. But I can submit, I can obviously change my system message just here. I can ask, I can add specific sections like add in safety systems. This has come from our, so you can select all, insert, and it'll actually add them in as, great starting points for your safety system messages. You can also do things like add your own data. We all know large language models are capable of many different things, general reasoning, general chatting. They also have flaws in some ways or places where they're not not great. And so one of the best things you can do is actually ground a large language model to your own data. And it's very easy here to just add a new data source, anything from vector embeddings to simple blob storage, or even just uploading some files that it can index and use in order to answer questions much more related to your content than to sort of general reasoning. So there's lots and lots going on here, and it's really nice to see, but also to know chat is one thing. So people are building sort of that bring your own data type approach, but then also moving into things like assistants are becoming very popular at the moment. So the ability with agentic AI for things to take actions on your behalf. There's a playground for that. Specific playground for images, which is always a good fun one to take a look at. As well as using tooling down here at the bottom. So things like prompt flow to create more complex prompts, and as well as evaluating your model. So once you've got your model, is it any good at what you want it to do? And the best thing that you can do is evaluate and monitor that model so that you know exactly what's going on. So this is the Azure AI Studio. There is so much more to it than that. But as we said, this is just a very quick demo to show you what does it actually look like and what can you do in there. So with that, if you want to find out a little bit more about the Azure AI Studio, there was an incredible session at Microsoft Build led by the people who create the product. So if you scan this QR code, you will be able to get access to that Microsoft Build session and also be able to watch it and get a deeper understanding of building from zero to hero there. So some of you, I haven't seen the question yet in the chat, but some of you might be asking the question, so what do I use? Do I use Azure AI Studio, because I've heard of that, or have I also heard of the Microsoft Copilot Studio? Like, when do I use what? Which one should I use? As always with technology, I feel like I used to say this a lot working with customers. It depends. It's probably the best way to put it. But I would say it's never just one or the other. So building Copilots your way, a great way to think about this is it's almost like a slider. Depending on the project, depending on what it is you're trying to create, you might want to choose one of these solutions over another. And so there's one way to do it where you actually think, well, actually you could use it as the best of both worlds. The Azure AI Studio approach is quite custom Copilot, build your own, have the flexibility of choosing the model that you wish, and go really deep into that sort of more code-first approach. But Copilot Studio is fantastic for building out very quick, out-of-the-box sort of samples and connectors, connecting to channels like Microsoft Teams, Facebook, and Slack, which you might be using within your businesses. And so, again, a great and easy way to use all of that built-in opportunity. The Microsoft Copilot Studio sits in the Microsoft Power Platform. So if anyone on this session has ever used things like Power Automate, or maybe you use Power Virtual Agents in the past, very, very similar things in some senses. So you can kind of build on top of that, but specifically designed for creating these great generative AI experiences. But just to wrap up, it's actually not a choice between one or the other. It's when do I choose which one? And actually, you could create, for example, a custom copilot in the Azure AI Studio using a Llama 2 model or something like that, or maybe a Phi 3 model if you were looking to use a small language model. And then you're actually able to take it out and you can connect it into your Microsoft Copilot Studio solution as well. So the best way to take a look at this is, again, another QR code. There was a wonderful session by two people in the advocacy side of the world, but one of them on my team called Henk, and he actually spoke alongside a colleague who was talking a lot about showing these two different scenarios and when different things might fit. So, good question just in the chat that I'll quickly clear up here. So, Gitsfair says, how does Azure AI handle versioning and updates of deployed models in a live production environment? So, really nice question. So, from the model catalog, obviously you're getting the curated collections of models that are available via Azure to deploy. You can deploy them in multiple different ways. So, you can deploy them onto infrastructure, which is called models as a platform, or you can deploy them in a serverless fashion, which is models as a service. So that's one thing where you just use that model. But also think from once you start to build out, you've added your own data, you've added your system message, you're actually starting to create kind of a flow, a much more complex system. And that's where prompt flow can come in really handy. Now, with prompt flow, there's opportunities to do it both in the UI, but a lot of people are finding the code-first approach is a really easy way for you to do versioning of your own custom copilots, but also being able to deploy different endpoints, compare them against each other, for example, with evaluations and things like that. So it's very much being able to build and then being able to maintain, monitor, evaluate, etc. And so that will allow you to then be able to have, if you needed to make updates and you wanted to switch over to a new, setup with a new system security message or something like that in it, you could then switch out just the deployed endpoint. So great question. Really, really good one. Definitely in that spot where you're kind of moving less from proof of concept and more to production. And so definitely go and check out some of the building and tutorials and learn modules, etc., because that'll help you understand kind of what's available to you. With that, I'm going to pass on to Alpa, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff we saw at Build around Microsoft working with OpenAI. So, Alpa, are you still there?
Yeah. Actually, it's very slow, my internet, so I just turn on the camera. So hopefully there is no much issue. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Amy.
So should we swap to your screen?
Yeah, I think I already shared. So yeah. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Amy. It was really a good overview of Azure AI Studio, Copilot Studio, and there are a few models as well. So now let's see, focus on Azure OpenAI. So hopefully you can see my screen. So Azure OpenAI is a co-developed by Microsoft and an OpenAI team. So you have an enterprise level security. You can have a private endpoints. You can have a private virtual networks, Azure intra security as well. And when you can use Azure OpenAI, you can use Azure OpenAI in any like any case, like you have a data, you can use Azure OpenAI. You can make it more like usable. It can analyze your data. It can summarize your data. Even you can read your image, audio, or video file through a multimodal AI, Azure AI, for example, GPT-4o and GPT-4 Mini. So if you want to make your app more smarter, more intelligent without explicitly writing the code, then you can use Azure OpenAI. You can quickly build solutions using the Azure OpenAI. So in this session, we are mainly focused on multimodal Azure OpenAI, for example, GPT-4o or GPT-4 or Mini. So let's see here. So here you can see that GPT-4o have achieved state-of-art performance on visual perspection benchmark. Here you can see comparison as well for its performance, its accuracy, and its efficiency as well. These are the old models you can see is available, and you can see up-to-date updates through this URL. So you will find which models is available in a preview or generally available or like that. So now quickly see a demo of GPT-4o. We have used specifically GPT-4o for this demo because it's first multi-modal Azure AI service, and it can work for image, audio, video files as well. And in this, throughout this demo, we are going to see a image data. So let's go to URL. So for that, I have this resource group, and inside I have these resources available. So I have Azure AI, Azure's AI search, storage account, and also I have deployed it as well. So I'll going to show you that as well very quickly. And I have Azure SQL database to store the result as well, specifically for decoding the barcode. So for that, let's see first of all here. So this is Azure OpenAI as well, and you can open through AI Studio as well, and you can open it in itself as well. Azure OpenAI URL as well. Basically, they both look same and works also same. So here you can see that chat your data. So I have a quickly looked at one of the option which Amy has explained that you can have your URL, you can have your data through URL. So for that I have used my Medium blogs. So you can see that here I have my blogs. I have around 24 blogs in here, and it has around like GPT-4o and Azure OpenAI and Data Factory and many other things. So this is my private data, and I would like to feed that data into my Azure OpenAI instance. So you can see that I have added this in here, and it has created an index as well. And I have this is my model. So for this demo, I have used a GPT-4o mini model. And when I ask a question here, through like what is Azure OpenAI, then you can see that it's replying this answer from my blogs, and you can see this one. So this is my blogs. If I click here, you can see that as well. So this is the one. So it's using this medium blogs, list of blogs. So here I have list of blogs. So same way you can apply your YouTube video as well. So like for example, you have a data in YouTube channel, then you can load that in here, and you can do it very very quickly as well by few button clicks away. uh, yeah, I think this is because of my internet. um, so yeah, so let's see. So okay, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, so let's see first of all here quickly that so for that you just click in here and you upload your URL, or you can have a Azure AI search or few different options. So that you can do few button clicks away. Once you connect it for your database, then you can ask a question related to your data in here. So that's what I have asked, that what is Azure OpenAI. So it's answered based on my knowledge base data. And then once you're happy with here, you can deploy it through here. So I have deployed it as well here. It's also few button clicks away. You can deploy it through web apps or copilot studio, or like team as well. So you can see that here I have deployed that. So this is my chatbot, and it's done in few button clicks away. And behind the scene, it's used the data from my Medium blogs. Let me close this out because it's internet is slow. So and here you can see that it's answering as well. So I said, can you please let me know what is Azure OpenAI? So it's answering from knowledge base my private data. So like this is the one, and you can check here as well a response. And these are the information, like this answers based on my knowledge base data. I can ask here any other question. And this one I have just built in 10 minutes. In within 10 minutes, I have built this through my knowledge base data. I think it's maybe I do not have a blog based on this one. So, but yeah, so you can answer and you can deploy like that way as well. So let me close that. So if I remove this my data, so this is based on private data, but let's see now why we can do through. So here I can ask anything. What is okay? Let me I think upload a image. So this is invoice for a trainer. So let's open that one. So in that invoice, it has, I think I have opened it here. So it look like this. So it has the bill too. So like company name, trainer name, and those all information like contact information, company contact information, and bank details as well. So those one I can ask here that can you please share payer and pays. Okay, just to say payers names. So it will read that one, even though it's bill two, it will find out that is that one. See, it gave that name. So I'm just asking that can you extract more information from abo image? So these are the information is reading from my image and is giving me that, and then I can store this information into database or somewhere else in CSV file, and then I can build even warehouse through this all information. So here you can upload image, or you can paste image, and you can ask any questions based on that, or you can have your own data and you can attach that we have seen earlier. And for that you can see that I have deployed a model. So these are the three models for this demo we have. This is mini, this is a 3.5 turbo, and this is 4.0. So these are the four main models I have used, but you can create your model like you can by here few button clicks away, that's it. Once you do that, then you can start chatting your models through here. So that is a very quick overview of models and Azure OpenAI. Now let's go back here. So if you need more information, then this is a very, very useful link where you can get more ideas about in which situation or where you can use GPT-4o and how it can help in your organization. So let's see now another topic, which is agents. So agents is like AI tools that responds based on events. So once you set up your agents, it can automatically, independently respond user inputs. Only thing is you need to configure it and you need to authorize few information if there is needed. After that, it can works automatically. For example, it can update your calendars automatically. It can send emails or replies based on some condition you have set. It also can do so many things, like it can monitor your website traffic, and it will notify you if there is something unusual happen. It also can analyze your financial data, and then it suggests you if there is any trend and you can invest in right it like particular opportunity, then it do that for you as well. So these are the things you can do through our agents. Only thing is you need to set it up correctly, then it can do automatically and independently. Mainly you can use for complex tasks as well. So it can, like it can span multiple applications, data source and service in your organization. So it's a very powerful tool. So now let's go to next one, which is assistant. So assistant is the enhanced version of your agent. So if you want to build agent like capability to your applications, then you can use assistant. It has a stateful evolution of a chat completion APIs as well. So you can do orchestration and you can do so many other things if you need to do. So you can use assistant for that as well. Now let's go to the okay, yeah. If you need more information, then you can browse through this code barcode. Now I would like to hand over to Amy.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Alpa. That was awesome demos. Thank you for showing off all that it can do in that multimodal space, and then introducing the idea of assistance and agentic AI. That's definitely a way that things are moving as well. And we spoke about all of the different models that are available, right model, right job. And so actually that leads me nicely onto, as these different agents or generative AI solutions get more and more complex, one of the fascinating things here is actually we start to see this type of LLMOps, so large language model operations type life cycle building up. This was shared with me from someone in my team called Nitya. She uses it a lot in her talks to be able to say, actually, getting started, like discover the model, test some samples, connect it to some simple data, get a sense of what it is that you're trying to achieve. So that's kind of ideating and exploring. Moving on to building and augmenting, that's when you start to like run against sample data, evaluate a full sort of prompt flow, modify the flow with different tools, maybe enhance it a little bit. And then again, like it's like a continuous loop, run it against a larger data set, evaluate it against more data. And then obviously finally moving on to operationalizing. So just as we used to do with machine learning models, same kind of idea, deploy to an endpoint, monitor that endpoint, add alerts to it, and integrate that endpoint into any kind of application that you're looking to include this type of capability into. But with this large language model ops comes the need to focus a little bit more nowadays on less in the portal and more where you're used to, which is that local development environment, right? When we're all trying to build and testing things out, sometimes it's a lot easier to really get to grips with what's going on with this type of technology when you're in the code and understanding how you can sort of manipulate it to do what you need to do. So there's a few different things we're going to talk about in this section that are all developer-friendly, code-first tooling that's going to be really exciting for you as you get started. So number one, very quickly, is the Azure Developer CLI. If you've never used AZD before, it's an amazing way to be able to take a very simple sort of sample app that the AZD marketplace has kind of put in there as a sample. And what you can do is we've put a whole load of generative AI ones. In fact, Rav very kindly posted the Contoso chat sample. So this is very much chat, build it on your own data type sample from end to end, using things like Azure AI search, different models, doing the evaluations and the prompt flows and all of that kind of stuff from end to end. But the really nice piece here is you can literally have it on your local machine, AZD initialize it, get the sample, have all of the code files from the sample available, and really start to dig into like what's actually available to you there and how all of these different things connect together. Once you'd be happy, editing these different things, you can then actually AZD up as a command and it will move it to the cloud. So if you've never had a chance to check out the Azure Developer CLI, I definitely go and recommend it now, as there's loads of great samples in there for generative AI solutions too. So just a quick bit on AZD. The two areas I really want to focus on is one is something called Prompty. Prompty was front and center at Microsoft Build in a lot of our keynotes, in the majority of the demos. And Prompty is this new language agnostic asset class. A lot of words there. A lot of words that we're all very familiar with as developers, but still a lot of words. So one of the things I've found when starting to dig into Prompty is this is a wonderful asset for that development and sort of team response to building these types of solutions that we're very used to as developers. So when we're creating prompts, managing the output of the responses, like not everything is a chat-based system, like dare I say it is not. Some of the most valuable generative AI solutions don't include any kind of chat at all. So creating those prompts, being able to work on them as a team, so have them integrated into Git, for example, and actually being able to sort of manage what comes out of those responses as well. So rather than it just being text-based, you can actually sort of orient it into the format that you wish, include different variables that it can change if it can pick up those different pieces. This is just a sort of like a YAML style file in some senses, where it's got a specific layout that you can update, but really a lot of it is in sort of human readable language, which is exciting. So it's really nice and easy to use. And then obviously it can actually be used alongside any orchestrators you're using. So if you've used LangChain, semantic kernel, prompt flow, etc., this is an asset that can be integrated into that. And I'll show you very quickly in a minute what we're talking about. And then one other thing I wanted to very quickly demo is something that's much newer. This was not released at Build. This was actually only released, 20 days ago? So at the start of August. And it's something called GitHub Models. I showed you the model catalog sitting in the Azure AI Studio, and we all want you in the Azure AI Studio building out your production-ready solutions. But we know developers live on GitHub, right? We live in code. I find loads of great samples on GitHub. We create wonderful assets here from developer relations and sit them on GitHub. And so it's amazing to see that GitHub have created this marketplace alongside the Azure AI team, where you can, for free, get access using your GitHub account to a set of the most popular models that we have available that you can test and integrate into your code in a developer format. So there's always trade-offs, right? Rate limits, etc. And then when you're ready to go to production, that can then obviously head over to Azure AI in order to be able to deal with that in production, but be able to quickly, think up new ideas, build out different things. Yes, gets fed, go get yourself signed up. I've got the QR code ready for you, and just wait until you see this demo. I'm so excited. Let's just jump straight into it, shall we? So let me just switch my screens. So just to double check, Alpa, can you just confirm you can see Azure AI Studio? Is that what you can see? Just double checking. Yeah. Oh, Alpa, just let me know if you can see
Still
Azure
loading.
AI Studio.
Just 1 minute. Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wonderful. Just double checking it's got the right
Yeah.
screen there. So here I am, where I was before in the images playground. And one of the awesome bits, first things first, let's go to Visual Studio Code. This is on my actual desktop. So this isn't in the cloud. This isn't in a code space or anything yet. And one of the things I just very wanted to quickly show you was Prompty. The easiest thing with Prompty is it's literally an extension that's built into VS Code now. So if you go into extensions, typed in Prompty, and spell it right, there we go. You'll see a very friendly little icon here that will actually introduce the Prompty extension. You can simply install it, you know how it goes, and follow some of the instructions there. The also really nice piece is if I just right click in my menu, I can scroll down and literally just click a new prompt file, and it will come up with this example prompt for me. Love this because let's be honest, like building all of this stuff from scratch, it's still very new to all of us, isn't it? And that's totally okay. So having something to build off, I always find that like a whole lot easier to build my idea into it rather than start with sort of like a blank page. Unpopular opinion maybe, but tell me in the chat if you agree with me. So the fun thing here is you can obviously do just as we do with any code files, right, and any solution. Have something as a name, describe what is this specific prompt asset doing, who's authored it. Super important, right, when we're working in dev teams. What model are we using? We're using a chat API. We're going to use the Azure OpenAI connections. I actually want to connect to an endpoint. And then we can obviously have sort of a sample of what the different contexts would look like. And then just down here, you've got things that are quite familiar from some of those playground experiences, which is your system message, what the customer might want from you, what the context is that you can provide them, and what the user will do. So here's one I made earlier. A couple of things I've changed. So number one, I've added in my endpoint. Next one, I've added in my deployment. I've added a temperature. You can add extra parameters here, which is wonderful. And I've changed my name so it makes it nice and personal. And if I click run, because I've connected to my OpenAI, I can literally just see the output of that. So rather than me sitting in the playground and kind of sort of playing with it there, I can be doing it in a code-first approach and still testing this locally by having it calling off to the API that I've deployed in Azure. So it's saying, hey, Amy, this is your star available. Another fun one that's in the documentation is a Shakespearean writing Prompty. Bethany's on my team as well. She's been doing some awesome stuff around getting these different things to work. The question is basically, like, please write short text inviting friends to a game night in a sort of Shakespearean style. I thought, so myself and Alpa are based in the UK. I thought everyone would appreciate this as a nice little example. So I can run it. And in my Prompty output in VS Code, it can give me a nice little friendly Shakespearean piece that I could share with my friends if that is what I wish to do. These are fun little examples, right? But you can build really serious stuff in here, add in your responsible AI messaging, add in your system security prompts, tell it what you want it to do, and really actually iterate on this and be able to do different versions of different prompting and approaches. So Prompty is a really nice piece to get started. And actually, one of the nice things is I can right click and add, for example, as we spoke about earlier, add prompt flow code, add semantic kernel code, add LangChain. I've got a good example here of what the prompt flow code looks like, because that's my place that I like to live in. However, we could do exactly the same thing. For example, we might have some semantic kernel fans on the call, and we can see that we can do exactly the same thing. Really nice, short and concise as well. With that, that's a little bit on prompty. Up next, what I want to show you is GitHub models. So let's come back to that. I'm going to go to github.com/market. So github.com/marketplace/models. I'm signed in with my account. So this is just my friendly GitHub account, and where I do all of my best work. And what you'll see here is in the marketplace experience that GitHub's had, there's now this new model category where you can see these very popular models, all the things we spoke about earlier, right? Cohere, Meta, Mistral, Phi, OpenAI, 4.0. We're not talking old ones, we're talking new ones. It's really, this is honestly like so exciting. So if I click on a very popular one, GPT 4.0, we see the same thing, right? A nice model card, your ability to understand the model first. You can obviously, chat, and there's another playground environment here as well. This is not the most exciting part. The most exciting button here for developers is this green Get Started button, and I am not lying. This is amazing. Like I've been so impressed by this. So number one, we're in just a nice little Get Started pop-up, but this is all about integrating it into the code that you're already using, right? Like we don't have to use it just in the playground environment, because we get to a certain stage and we maybe feel a little bit limited. So if I choose the language, I'm a Python developer, so I'm going to choose Python, and I want to introduce you to something called the Azure AI Inference SDK. This SDK is such a nice idea as we move into that agents and assistants world, and we're going to be swapping and swapping out different models depending on their skills, their what they're really great at, what's a new model, for example. It's going to be really important that we don't have to change the format of the actual code depending on what model we're using. That's what the Azure AI Inference SDK can do for you. It makes a unified approach to calling any of the different models, no matter what the provider is. There's a really nice example of how you get started. All you need is a GitHub personal access token. You do not currently need any Azure, account. You can get started here first and consider that when you get to production. It's got all of the different Bash PowerShell things to set your token, install simple dependencies, and actually it's got the sample code for you to run a really quick sample. So love that. You can explore more samples, but the best bit is if you actually run in CodeSpace. So I don't know if anyone has used CodeSpaces before. Wonderful development environments that you can literally just spin off from a GitHub repository and have everything in there. Exactly the same idea here, but even better. So if you click running CodeSpace, here's one that I have. Oh no, let's restart it. Hopefully it will restart nice and quickly. Here's one I was running earlier. And what this is going to do is it's actually going to take loads of great samples that are in all those instructions, and it's going to make them available to me. I can edit and change all of the different samples and codes in my CodeSpace. But the key thing is I don't need any authentication token. I can just use this like straight out of the box. Because it uses the CodeSpaces models token just here instead, because it's built on top of that repository. So this is super exciting. We've got cookbooks in here. We've got samples that are in JavaScript, Python, more and more to come. And then we've also got the different SDKs available. So in Python, you can use the Azure AI Inference SDK, or you can use the specific model SDKs such as OpenAI or Mistral. So I'm going to use that unified SDK. If you're a notebooks person, it is my normal home notebook. So I do always feel quite comfortable in like learning about the code, running different bits section by section. But actually what I want to very quickly show you was just the basic Python. And so what you'll see here, 4 lines of just important different core packages that you need. The token will be used from the environment, and the endpoint is generic, so I don't need to fill any of those different things in. I know this is just a comment, but this is so useful just here. So these are all the different names that you can use in your model name piece here to just swip and swap between them. And then you call a chat completions client with your endpoint. You have your system message, you have your user message. So we're going to say, write me a recipe containing strawberries and milk. And then it can output. And obviously, you can just edit this code, right? You can do anything you want with the output, which is fantastic. So let me run this. Just going to go ahead and run my basic py file. So here we've got it. It's come out. Let me just pull this up a little bit. So here we go. Absolutely. This is from GPT-4o. So I've printed out the model name just here so that we can see that they're different in a minute. Absolutely. Here's the delicious recipe. So this is from GPT-4o. Pretty verbose, lots of nice detail in there, and a nice little enjoy my homemade strawberry milkshake. So that's cool. But what's the power here? We said it's trying all of these different models, right, in code where I have lots of great control. So one of the things I then want to do is I was like, oh, actually, I'm going to use a Phi 3. It's a small language model, right? We know it doesn't have necessarily all the same capabilities as something like GPT-4o. But if I go ahead, save that, sorry, and run it, what we can see here, we can see that it's a different output even before I go right up to the top, and we can see that it's used a different model. It's produced a similar thing, smoothie recipe with all the details, but it's much more sort of succinct, I would say, like the style's a little bit different. But what is the value here? Like the value is this is free. This is with my GitHub account. This is in code, so I can use these different things just with a GitHub personal access token, and the instructions are seamless. They're really, really impressive, simple instructions that if you are just doing this locally on your local machine, for example, I could just be doing, calling these different APIs in my own local environment. I can absolutely do it there too. I can switch between all these models, and it's super simple. This is a brilliant way to just get started understanding what you can do, how you can change things. And if I could just recommend one other thing, I would recommend taking a look at something called the Generative AI for Beginners solution. I'll get Rav to post something in the chat shortly with that, where you can kind of go through lots of different great OpenAI examples, for example, and start to obviously be able to change some of that code as well for it. So welcome to GitHub Models. First things first, go get signed up. So if you are interested in anything that I've just shown here, Prompty, you've got a QR code to go and learn more about that asset library, how that can help you as a team, how you can develop and build on different complex prompts. And then GitHub Models, this will take you directly to go and put yourself on a wait list that the teams that they're working through. And it's really exciting to see kind of what you can do with these different things. So definitely go to that GitHub Models piece and check out what is available there. And as I said, I think, Rav, we can probably stick a whole load of links together, can't we, in some kind of follow-up as well, which is brilliant. Okay, I'm going to pass it on to Alpa, who's going to talk a little bit about using Azure AI in Microsoft Fabric. So a slight left turn here into something a little bit different.
Thank you, Amy. It was really nice overview of GitHub models and Prompty and many more. I really enjoyed that. So far we have seen a data service. Now let's see, AI service. Now let's see a data, because data is fuel for our AI solutions. And without data service, we cannot achieve Azure AI solutions. So let's see a Microsoft Fabric for that. So as we have a very less time, so I can quickly share few information. So like, if if you want to consume this model on your data service, for example, Microsoft Fabric, then you need a endpoints key, a model name, and a version number. So you can go to your view code in here, and then you will find those information. If you scroll down, so this is the information you need, as well as you need a key. So these are
Oh,
information you
just
can get it
hold
from here.
1 second there, Alpa. Sorry, just 1 minute. Just
Yeah.
swap screens to your screen, just to make sure that there we go. That's what we're looking for, I think. So we are seeing Azure AI Studio.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, because I have to close
Perfect.
my presentation because it's giving me a lot of like performance issues. Okay. So yeah, so here you can see that where you can find your model name. Once you have a model, you can get those information through here. So you can use this endpoint having the model name, version number, and even this model as well, and your OpenAI instance as well, and you can find key from here, so you can copy key from here. So those two information you get from here. Once you have those information, you can consume through C sharp code, Python code, through a Visual Studio in your local, or you can do it through a Fabric. So in this session, we are only going through how you can consume Azure OpenAI through a Microsoft Fabric, from Microsoft Fabric through no code, low code way, or with a code. So for no code, low code way, we can go to here. Sorry, it's this one. So this is Azure Data Factory pipelines in Microsoft Fabric. So here you can call your Azure you can use that URL in as a connection. You can have here system message and a user message, and you also passing your yeah. Come on. So yeah, so you can use your prompt. You can pass this prompt through somewhere here. You maybe get from
Hey Alpa, just a quick one, slight technical difficulty there. I think we've lost your audio slightly. You haven't accidentally muted anything or? Perfect.
yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, we can
I think
hear
it's
you.
browser
Sorry
has
about
done
that.
automatic. No worries. Thanks, Amy, for that. Um, I lost. Yeah, we were here. Sorry, I lost that. So yeah, it's basically it's very slow, so it's giving some issues. But anyway, so you can call your model like that way. You can pass a key. You add these two information here, message and URL that you can call through no code low code way your model. Let's close this out. And now if you want to do code first way, then for that same information you need, but you're using through notebooks. You can use also some data quality things like you can do conversation, remove duplication, and those all information, like those all functionality you can do through notebooks. And here you can ask questions on your data, and based on that, it can reply results as well. So you can see here. Um, and for that you need to install a library, and then you need to import library as well, and then you create your model through like this way, your model name, key, and version API version. However, you don't need to use like this way. You can use even environmental variable, or maybe you can use managed identity, or you can use can use uh, maybe store in key vaults so that you can store it very less time and so in this demo we are so first of all, we just giving this image to GPT-4o, a mini, and we ask the what it is or something like that. So it will explain you like whatever, like first line which is the commented out, second line is what, and what is the reason. So that's what it will do. So let me close. So these are the ones. So we feeding it here. So here what you will do, you passing your key same way, and you here we passing the image data. So you can see that this is my image data, and for that I have stored so those images I have already in my lake house in here. So these all are the image. So at the moment we are looking this driving license, this one, this image. So yeah, so it's reading from my lake house, and then I think it's a bit slow. So yeah, so here is basically you passing the system message, and then this is a user message, and we are setting here type as image URL. So that's why we providing the URL, and you can see this way you can pass dynamic value of your URL. And here I have very simple question like prompt that can you please explain the image. So it will explain that image that it's regarding to what and something like this. So you can see that it's giving very nice explanation about that image. That first line is a commented outline, and then second line is look like store procedures, and these are the parameters, and it's also even explained a result section as well. So that way you can ask like question as well, like can you explain that image. And here we are asking about diagrams, like we're saying that can you explain these diagrams. So here you can see that this is another image. um, Basically it's this image. So we feeding this image and we asking the question that can you explain this, and it's regarding to what. So let me close. So that is the image which I have in my one lake. I'm passing that image as a data source, and here I'm asking the explain about image. This is my Azure OpenAI URL. We can, and this is a model name which is this, and this is a version number, and then here you can see that it's returning response, and then if there is error then we have a error exception as well, handle code as well, and then here you can see your content through this. So basically it's explaining each and every component in the diagram, not just explaining but like individual component is explaining about the diagrams. This is a third one. Here we asking about barcode. So you even can ask to generate a barcode based on specific rule. You can also ask to decode your barcodes and those kind of the things. Generally you use this kind of the information when you need a real time response. So for example driving license rule in UK. So you can see that you can use that one in verification system at traffic stops where you can real time verify those information. Even you can use in automated checked in car rental car, or you can use online identification as well. Here you can identify a user in real time immediately as well, and for that you can say this is the code. So these are the same thing. You have your key, and then you passing the image. So in this image I have a rule. So because I have a I have a document, and in that document, all rules available through a image. So in this image, having the rule through UK driving license. So for example, you can see it here. So this is the image, and here you can see that these are the rule for the driving license. Okay. So let me close this. So based on that rule, it will do something for me. So here I'm asking for decoding one. So I'm asking, this is my prompt, that can you please explain the image, and can you please generate a store procedure. ASP is a store procedure to decode a license number. Okay, so this is my prompt, and this is my image I'm passing. This is the URL, and here you can see the response for that. So these are the old rules. It's first of all explaining them rules, and then it's creating the store procedure for me. So this is the store procedure. And if I use the same store procedure, I have recently done this. I have copy and pasted it here. So sometimes it takes some time, and sometimes it will immediately work. So otherwise, you have to ask a few more times, that can you verify this? Can you do this again? It's not as per your expectation. So that, and then I created store procedure in here, and then if I run this store procedure, you can see a result here. So if it's not slightly based on rule, then we maybe need to ask again. Sometimes you need to do that. Few times you again ask, need to ask through a prompt, and sometimes it's work directly. So this is one of the reason you can use for in your private data. And let's go to here. So now let's see another thing, extracting the information. So earlier we have seen invoice image, and then same image we are used. So in this image we would like to extract the information and store those information into database. So for example, this invoice I already have in here in my one lake. So here I'm asking that, first of all, I providing this image data, and here I'm asking that please extract all possible information from image, structure format. So because I need in table format, so that's why. So it's, this is important. If you ask that way, then it will structure your output as well. There is a nothing much to do.
Hey, Alpa, just a quick one. I think it's gone on mute again. Just make sure we toggle that mute button off. I wonder why it keeps doing that. That's strange. There we go. Wonderful.
So, thank you, Amy. Sorry for this. Yeah, it's look like it's very something is problematic anyway. So yeah, so it's writing the output in this CSV file in a one lake where I have my image, and then if you want to read that file, then you can read that file through here. So this is the one. So it's reading the image, extracting the information, and writing the file in CSV format, CSV, and these are the data. So these are the data coming from that image file, because I want to store those information in one lake, for a future reference, or maybe for a further analytic purpose. So this way you can read image, and you can store the information into table or file. And here you can see that you are not only asking the create a store procedure, you also can ask to generate a, let's see, a prompt. So here you can see that I'm saying, can you please generate a store procedure to decode a driving license number, as well as create a sample data as well. So here you can see that this is a store procedure I copied from here and created earlier, and these are the sample data. So it's also generating a data for me as well for that. So these are the things you can do through Azure OpenAI, through a multimodal, like GPT-4o mini or GPT-4o, and it's really useful specifically when there is accessibility issue, when someone has some kind of the feasibility issue, cannot read or cannot hear. At that time, this is really really useful because it can convert into different languages. Well, it can convert into not even a text but audio as well. Audio can be converted into multiple language. It can be converted from text to image or image to text easily, text to speech and speech to text. So it's really, really useful. So I think we have seen demo. So now I would like to hand over to Amy.
Fabulous. Switch over to the other screen. Wonderful. Thank you, Rav. Oh my goodness. We have seen so much in this session. So I've got 4 more QR codes for you, but these might be able to summarize a few things for everyone. So goodness, we've moved from Azure AI Studio to GPT-4o to assistants to prompt to GitHub models. There's just so much in this space at the moment going on. And then finally wrapping up by saying data and AI, these two things work together. So it was fantastic to see it inside Microsoft Fabric. So thank you so much, Alpa, for those wonderful demos. So what's next though? Because this is a session that's kind of shown you maybe what's available, but now it's time to go take the bits that you thought were most interesting and go and learn a little bit more. If you want to check out any of the on-demand sessions from Microsoft Build, there are so many fantastic ones. A lot of the GenAI security ones I really enjoyed as well. You can go to build.microsoft.com where you can get all of the sessions or scan that QR code. I have linked here on the second one to some extra learning. So I think someone in the chat was asking me about this. If you want to learn a little bit more about the basics of Azure AI Studio, I highly recommend going to Microsoft Learn. Microsoft Learn is a free online learning platform that we use here at Microsoft to be able to give you great hands-on exercises and getting in touch with our technology. So you can go to aka.ms/build-learn-AI-challenge, or you can scan that QR code under number 2. Learning resources are fantastic, but as you get started, you're going to have more and more questions probably. So the next 2 things are all about community. Now, you're already probably part of the Reactor community. That might be a way you've heard about this stream, but there's other places that you can go and get great information. One of them is the global AI community. Microsoft, my team specifically, work super close with the global AI community that have groups all across the world where you can engage locally as well as online and get access to people like myself, but also to people like Alpa. Lots of great, wonderful AI MVPs as part of that group. And they will share all of their great different insights into the AI space, which is exciting. And then finally, we have set up an Azure AI Discord channel. If you're into Discord, if that's your thing, we're in there, we're answering questions, we're posting a lot of our content. So some of the links that I've linked today are likely to be in there. So we can continue this discussion offline or online. I don't know how you kind of phrase that, but if you go to the Azure AI Discord, you can go to aka.ms/AzureAI/Discord to go and find out a little bit more, get yourself signed up, meet like-minded people, answer interesting questions, and really build that community vibe around learning. With that, we have shown you so much. Thank you, Rav, for the invite for me and Alpa onto this series. And with that, we'll speak to you all soon.